Hello, and welcome to the Q&A for Bestseller as part of the digital short series competition in SeriesFest Season 6. I'm here with the creator, writer, director, Nora Kirkpatrick of Bestseller. Hi, Nora.
Hi.
It's just so awkward, all of these Zoom meetings, but it's definitely
Good. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, my cat created a mess. Everything's fine.
Fine. There should be a blooper reel is really what we're so I want to just kind of looking at the pilot, you have certainly created a very unique world, very like hyper stylized, seriously hysterical, especially, I mean, for me as a woman, I was like, this is so much fun to watch these women in like power mode.
Yeah.
And so I guess my first question is, what is the inspiration for you behind this project? Like what drove you to make it?
Right. So they're kind of two things. I grew up in a very small town in the Midwest. And so being connected to the outside world was something I was always looking for. So I was watching a lot of Home Shopping Network because my parents wouldn't really let me watch TV. At one point I stole a TV from a trash heap. I found a TV and I put it in my closet and it only got a couple channels and one of them was home shopping. And so for me, it was a real lifeline to the outside world of like, wow, look at these beautiful things and these beautiful people. And it was just so the life I was not living. And I considered them my friends and, tried to call in, and it was just a real lifeline for me. So that was always stuck in my head as kind of my first exposure to a world like that. And then aesthetically, my work, I always really approach it from an aesthetic standpoint. And so I wanted to do a lot of world building. I wanted to be really specific about aesthetic and production design. And so really creating a home shopping network for me was a great way to combine this thing that I experienced as a child, a world that I was obsessed with my interest in making production design worlds that people can really get lost in. So that's how kind of the idea started.
That's amazing. Where are your anchors based on any real life home shopping network hosts?
There was like a queen of the network. I don't remember exactly her name, but I remember thinking like, wow, what a powerful woman that is, and thinking about what she'd be like behind the scenes. So that's kind of what I explore, the difference in persona on stage and off stage for these women. And also I love seeing women in power positions, but I also love to explore like the desperation of ambition. And I think that is an interesting balance. And so that's kind of what we get into in the pilot is like, if the queen of the network dies, there's these three disciples, they're all bad choices for different reasons. Who's going to get it? Who's going to win?
It's very political, and I like it's very clear, the woman that is relating to the other on the screen, like that each of them have these very specific followings and inspirations behind them. And then the other, theme that I noted when I watched it is there's this mental health issue of these women that are extremely vulnerable on screen and have these kind of off-screen personalities. And then, of course, the daughter who has this imaginary person in her life that no one else sees. And, how those things kind of, create a lot of humor, but it's also, there's some seriousness to it as well.
Sure. It's a lot about coping mechanisms. And, for Cindy, the daughter, she's been living in the shadow of her mother her whole life, and that's caused her to create a bond with someone that doesn't really exist. And I think that's really beautiful in a way that I had imaginary friends. And I think if you have a lack in your life or you're not receiving love, the way to survive is to kind of create it for yourself. And so, I think that her doing that is really beautiful. And that's why I wanted to give character to her imaginary friend, played by Nico Santos, who does a wonderful job playing him. So yeah, there is a kind of a mental health issue of how to get around pain and how to come out the other side.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also is reflected in all of the characters, really, because they're living in this like extreme world where they're all coping with the hardships of being a woman and the political environment of behind the scenes television, which no one really thinks about. But it's so funny also. I think you kind of go on a roller coaster ride. What I really also appreciated was the choice that you made not to spend too much time in exposition of how these women got to where they are and just dropped us right in to this world. So kind of, could you sneak a little bit about where we're going with these characters? Like what an episode 2 might look like, or even your season 1?
Yeah, I think, over the course of the season, at the end of the pilot, it seems like Cindy's going to take over, but obviously that's not the end for the other two women. So I think, it's a premise series in that there will be arcs to the season of like who's going to take over, and that's the overlying thing. But each episode really will be like kind of a workplace comedy dilemma, more in the sense of, why am I blanking on the name of the show? Doesn't matter. It's a workplace comedy in the Home Shopping Network. So we're going to have a main A-story dilemma, and then we'll have the arc of the season of who's going to take over and how they're going to do as queen, kind of as an underlying runner. But I really do love shows. I'm going to think of it. I cannot think of the name of the show. Doesn't matter. But I'm interested in having a dilemma A, B, C story for each episode. So the first season is really about who's going to be queen and can they stay there, with a nice little love story on the side.
Ooh, a nice little love story on the side. I like that. Well, and so are you thinking that all these episodes would stay in this short form format, or would you expand it to half hour?
It's meant to be a half hour. I shot this as a 15-minute so that we could make it a bit more easy. But I think it's meant to be a half hour. It could stay in 15-minute format and go on, a place like Quibi or something like that.
Yeah, very cool. Well, for kind of the last question to wrap things up, just because I know you have a lot of filmmaking experience and you're working on, different projects all the time, and this being one, you did on your own as an independent producer, what kind of advice would you give to a filmmaker that is wanting to step into, shoes like yours to create their own project?
Do it. Try to create a community around you of like-minded filmmakers that you can help and that they will help you. It's a real reciprocal factor because there is not a lot of money in independent filmmaking. And so you've got to make a lot with a little. Our budget on this was not big, but I think we hopefully made something look more expensive than it was. So I'd say create a community where you're willing to work for each other. And this was the first time I had ever raised money. I raised a little bit of money to make this. First time I've ever done it. And that is really just about explaining your vision to people in a way that they want to be a part of it, because people really do want to be a part of art. So I think, finding out a way to make a project that people would be excited to be a part of. And then I think build your community. And then something I always tell young filmmakers is like, learn every program that you can, because it saves you a lot of time and money, instead of hiring a graphic designer and someone to do the trailer and it's like a lot of those things you can do yourself and at a certain level hire out. But like I do a lot of those things myself to save money and time. And so I would recommend everyone learn Premiere, and you learn GarageBand or, Pro Tools, and you learn InDesign or Keynote. Like you learn all these programs so that you are capable of doing more of the jobs yourself. It's a great, when you're strapped for cash, it's important to be able to do as much as you can on your own, and then hire out for those jobs that you really need to.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I think you're going to get more things done that way.
Well, and I think, hearing what all of the different roles and hats you wore on this project, like it's very clear that this is from your heart. This has such a clear through line and a specific aesthetic. And when you've taken on all of those roles yourself, it really, it comes across easily on screen. So, congratulations, your hard work is paying off.
Yes. I mean, I had a lot of wonderful collaborators on this, I will say, but a clarity of vision across all departments is super important.
Yeah, totally. Especially when you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I told you it was going to be like the fastest. I heard that cat again. He's after you. I love it.
It's not your Q&A. But this is so great. I love SeriesFest. So
Well, thank you. And we're so excited. And I hope your cat's excited too to
So
jump.
excited. Showing support.
All right. Well, Nora, we'll be in touch very soon and
Okay.
talk to you later.